Here we go.
Hey, we're live. Look at that.
Not yet. We're not live yet. Hold on.
Oh, it notified me that I was, but I guess not. Oh.
On the top of your screen, it says live.
Yeah, I just got a notice on my Facebook page.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, Miss Lucianne, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
You're welcome.
With the quarantine conversations.
Yes, welcome to Quarantine Conversations. We are live on Facebook for our third edition of Quarantine Conversations. I'm going to show off our faces and introduce you to our newest Quarantine Conversations conversation. So here we go. Welcome aboard.
Hello.
All right. There we go. Let's get the gallery view up. And all right, Miss LaShawn, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us tonight for Quarantine Conversations. As always, I'm Jessica Gilbert, Director of Community Affairs with Kids Central. I'm joined by Caleb Stemmel, who is our Community Relations Specialist, and our amazing COO of Kids Central, Shalonda McHenry Sims. And we are so grateful to have all of you on board tonight and watching with us. We are so excited because LaShawn is here to talk to us about teens, and that's one of the biggest needs we have, and one of probably the scariest, and maybe that's a myth, maybe that's not. We're going to find out tonight about taking teens in foster care and how she's adapted and how she came to take teens. So I'm going to let Caleb take off with this one and get to the conversation.
Okay, well, actually, let's start real quick with, if you are a foster parent or adoptive parent that is joining us tonight, if you could go ahead and hit that like button so that we know that you're following us. And if you are a prospective foster parent where you're trying to learn and figure out how this whole thing works, go ahead and hit that heart button so we can connect with you after this. But, Ms. LaShawn, let's start at the beginning, if you would. Thank you, Ms. Sharon, for joining us. Tell us about how you became a foster parent. Where did this process start? Like, did you just one day wake up, you like bolted up in the middle of the night and were like, I need to be a foster parent? Or what happened? Tell me.
Well, I worked in dependency,
okay.
So I kind of saw firsthand the need of foster parents, and so I just kind of had a little call-in, I would say, just to kind of help, however I could, to fulfill a little small portion of that need.
Gotcha. So for those that don't know, when you say dependency, what do you mean by that?
I worked with the child welfare system. Okay. I was a case manager. Okay. So I was one of those people visiting your home every 25 days and checking on the kids and making sure they're okay and trying to help reunify them with their parents and seeking permanency.
Okay, very cool. And so you felt this calling, you feel like, I guess I can do some part of this. Yeah. And then you took the classes with us. You said you've been a foster parent now for 3 years with us. Mm-hmm. Did you feel like the classes were really informative? Like you learned this whole other side to it? Because you were started as a case manager. How was that process?
It was informative. I believe it was informative. It doesn't fully prepare you for the journey, but it was definitely informative, and you can definitely rely on, what you are taught and kind of go off of that. But informative, yes.
Awesome. So you got your license, and then how soon afterwards did they call you and say, hey, we have a kid, do you want to take a kid?
I believe it was that same night.
Yeah, that same night. That's typically how it works. We have that question pop up in orientation quite often. They're like, well, how soon do we? And we're like, we will literally, you'll get a call saying, hey, you got your license. Would you like to take a kid? All in the same phone call.
Yep, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was that same night. Yeah. My specialist, she texted me earlier in the day, like maybe around 2 p.m. saying, congratulations, you're licensed. And I was like, yay, awesome. And then that same night, it was in October, we went to, I think it was like Trunk or Treat or something in Tavares. And I'm there with my daughter and another family. And then I got the phone call about 4 kids. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. Yeah, but it was that same night.
That's amazing. And what was the first placement? Was it a little boy, little girl? How old were they? How did it go?
The first placement I had, it was a sibling group of 4. It was 2 boys and 2 girls. The oldest was about maybe 10, and the youngest was about maybe 18 months old. That one was only a weekend placement because they were able to go home with family, thank God. But the weekend went pretty well. I ran to the store, made sure my fridge was stocked, got food, snacks, things like that for them. I mean, it went well. My second placement, they actually stayed, for months, and that one was also good. Some challenges along the way, but nevertheless, I mean, they were able to go home, and I was able to see them reunify with their mom.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. I mean, I can't even imagine going from like 1 kid to 5 kids, like in an hour, like, holy.
Yeah.
So, sorry, what I was going to say with that. So you said the first placement was reunified. That's, I mean, obviously our first goal and fantastic. But like, what was surprised you after? I mean, you had the first placement for like a weekend, and then you had like the real set in where the kids are with you for an extended period of time. What were you most surprised of, or like you didn't expect to happen as a foster parent in that first placement?
I can't say there's nothing I didn't expect, just because I've kind of been on the other side where I worked dependency, so there wasn't much that was going to surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
Just being on the other side to begin with, I'd already seen it all, per se. So there was nothing really surprising. I mean, I kind of have a fair good idea or knowledge of the dependency process and the court process, so I knew what to expect.
That's awesome. I know that sometimes there's definitely some frustrations that go into that part of things because we really can't control it. But you already had an experience of exactly what's going on. Okay, so let's kind of touch on, we're talking about quarantine conversations. COVID-19 hits, and you said you have 2 placements currently, and all of a sudden your daughter and your placements are all in the house. Everybody's doing things technologically. How did you handle going completely virtual?
I just try to set up a routine the best way I could. When COVID hit, I had my daughter and another teenager, and then they came off for spring break and COVID happened. It's like, okay, wait a minute, what's going on? Well, instantly we had to cancel vacations, like that we were supposed to leave on the very next day. So we had to do that. So we had to cancel vacations, and then I'm just trying to make the best of it. Okay, well, guys, we had to cancel those. Let's do something else. Let's just do something local. At this point, it's still new to us, and we're just not sure what's going on. I mean, is this real? Blah blah blah. So we just had to just kind of rearrange a little bit. Cancel that vacation. Let's just go to Orlando, hang out for a little bit. Coming back, everything became digital. Okay, you can't come back to the work. You're not allowed in the office anymore. Okay, well, now you need to come to the school, pick up computers for the kids. Then, okay, and now you need to help them learn because now everything is digital and online. Okay. So, I mean, it was just a lot of just rearranging and getting used to the kids just being home all day long and eating all the food and everything else. Like, okay.
Constant snacking. Oh, that's
constant
fantastic.
Snacking because they're bored.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're flexible and you just kind of took it in stride. So, I mean, props to you, because a lot of people, that was a real stretch for them.
So well, that was the good thing about having teenagers. And I've thought about that. Like, oh my goodness, if I had younger kids who still needed to be in daycare, and because there's no way I could actually work at home with younger kids, I don't think I could anyhow. So, they still needed to be in daycare, and, the daycares some of them were closing, some stayed open, some didn't. Then I think would have been a little different. But with teenagers, it was way easier.
So, I mean, you just made the transition for me. You've just started taking in kind of older kids, preteens, teenagers, which is, like we talked about at the beginning, it's the scary teenagers. What brought that on? How has it been? Like, just tell us everything. Like, how did it start? Let's start there.
Okay, well, if we're gonna be honest, honestly, with my last placement before teenagers, my one foster son, foster care, you're dealing with a lot of trauma, and he has dealt with a lot of trauma in his life. And the daycare, they were not having it because a lot of daycares, they're not trained in that area. So, you know, our kids go there and, you know, they're misbehaving or they're acting out, and the daycare is calling the parents at like 9 o'clock in the morning after you just clocked in at work. Please come pick him up. So it was that, you know, it's just me. I'm a single foster parent. So just not having that extra support, it's really important just kind of finding the balance of what fits for my family. So just being constantly called to come to the daycare, to pick up the kids and disrupting the day and, you know, things like that. I figured, you know what, I may need to just try older kids. And so I decided to make the transition.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I'm not going to any more daycares. I'm just not dealing with it no more.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you mentioned to us before we started this, but you said that there's a sense of independence that older kids have, that you feel like you're kind of just steering them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that sense of dependence, the kids have a good sense of dependence because, you know, they're older kids and you're teaching them how to cook and clean and, you know, all their independent skills and things like that. So that works out really well. You know, they can wash the dishes, they can clean up after themselves, they can shower themselves, they can make their own beds. I love the independence, and they're helpful. Like, they're so helpful. I love it.
And bedtime's a lot easier, right?
And bedtimes are a lot easier. I don't have to put them to bed. I don't have to turn the lights off and, you know, read stories to them because they just watch TikTok so they fall asleep.
I do at night though too, so I kind of get it.
Yeah.
So I've been enjoying it, especially being at home, and they have so much energy, but they're older kids, so they can channel their energy a little bit better versus the younger kids who's, you know, stuck in the house all day long and really don't know how to channel that energy.
Have you been pulled into a TikTok dance video yet?
This is a good
I
one.
have. I have. And I even made my own TikTok, and because I have older kids, one of them recorded me doing my TikTok. So
that's so fun. It's so cool that you're able to connect with them that way.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, so what is your absolute favorite memory thus far being a foster
parent? I would say my absolute first memory would be my first placement, just that reunification, because I was able to help the mom, just kind of walk with her along the way of what she needed to do to get the kids back. Mm-hmm. And I remember, and so, you know, we communicated a lot, the mom and I, regarding the kids and whatnot. And she was able to talk to me and whatnot. And I remember the day she went to court for her last hearing, and she didn't know what to expect. I mean, I didn't either. I didn't know what the judge was going to say. But he told her that she was able to pick up her kids that day. And so she came over, and just the fact that she came over and she was able to, you know, help pack up their things and leave with her children. So that was really special.
That's so cool. And I think a lot of people going into being a foster parent don't realize that, you know, there is a relationship that you build with the biological family.
Yeah.
How is that kind of different for you, coming from, you were a case manager at one point? Like, is it a lot easier for you to have that relationship with the bio parents?
I think so, just because I know the process a little bit. So I think it is easier. And I mean, I can see it from the parents' point of view and from our point of view, like what's going on, just not being as maybe biased, you know, towards the parents. I mean, so I think that's made it a little bit easier.
For sure.
Like, I encourage reunification. I'm always happy when reunification does occur.
I really love that you're bringing up reunification, because June is actually National Reunification Month. And so I think it's really important to share those stories about reunification too, while we're talking about foster and adoption. So thank you so much for bringing that up and sharing that reunification story, because it is really important. So I appreciate you sharing that.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. I heard it said best that it's funny how, like, some people are so terrified of the parents, but those parents are just like those same kids that you're willing to take into your house. Like, they're just trying to make it happen and make it work. So thank you for bringing that Okay, so my last question before we jump into questions, because if you are watching right now and you have any questions for us at all, please feel free to drop that question into the chat box below. And we would love to talk about that live. My last question for you is, what advice would you give to families that are considering becoming a foster parent?
Just be open-minded. Just, some of the kids that we welcome into our homes, they have had some experiences, some traumatic experiences. So just be open-minded. It may not be the everyday kid that you've always seen. They've been through some things, and normalcy for them is way different than it is maybe for your family. So just kind of being open-minded. And if you can, do any research or any reading on just kind of being trauma informed, I think that'll be very helpful, and that will go a long way, honestly.
For sure. That's a great point. Can I ask, if it's not too much, you say that sometimes normal is different for the foster kids coming into your house. Do you have an example of that so that people can kind of get like a legit, like this is a hands-on example of what that different normal is?
Yeah. So let's use my teenagers for example. So if I'm sitting here, in the morning working, one of them will wake up and she's like, "Can I have breakfast?" "Yes, you can have breakfast. Why are you asking me if you can have breakfast?" Or, "Can I go take a shower?" "Yes, you can take a shower. Why are you asking me if you can take a shower?" "Of course you can take a shower." So that's, in a normal household, your kids aren't going to ask you if they can eat or if they can take a shower or if they could just do the smallest thing. They know they can do it because they've always done it. It's always been their normal. Like with my kids, that's not their normal. They're in an environment that was way, way, way structured, whether it was a group home or what it was. And it wasn't normal to just get up and go take a shower because you felt like it. You had to ask for permission to take a shower and permission to get a snack and permission to eat and just permission to do every single thing. Like every aspect of their lives are just controlled. But in a normal home, it's not. So even with my teenagers, and they're kind of getting out of the habit, but it's, "Can I take a shower?" "Yeah, of course you can." "Can I wash my hair?" "Well, if you want, it's your hair." So even with that, it's, that's different.
Amazing. Great example. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so Ms. Jessica, do we have any questions that have popped up in the chat box today?
One we always love getting is, how can I become or learn more about becoming a foster or adoptive parent?
Well, you're starting at a great place, so we're learning about it right now. But also, you can reach out to Kids Central via info@kidscentral.org, info. You can reach out to myself or through our Facebook page. We'd be happy to get you guys connected in any way and show you the following steps. Great question.
Another really great question just came through. I am interested in fostering older children. However, I read somewhere that adult supervision is required at all times when they are home. Is that true, or are you allowed to treat them like your own children? I'm going to let Shalonda take this question.
I knew you were.
I'm becoming predictable. I don't like it.
Well, there's a many factors. There really isn't an age for determining how old a child can be to be home by themselves. Just like a parent, you have to think about their developmental age. You have to think about, their maturity level. You also have to think about, where you're going. Do they know what to do in case of emergency? So just like a regular parent, you would treat the foster child in the same manner. You're allowed to use what they call prudent parent standards, if they're mature enough, you trust enough that they know what to do in an emergency. There isn't any concerns that they're not, they wouldn't know what to do. You can't leave them home.
Yeah, great answer, Shalonda. Thank you so much for that. One of the things I wanted to make sure that we touch on as far as becoming a part of our Kids Central community of care was that we are actually, due to COVID, we're able to move some of our orientations and things virtual. So we want to make sure that we're mentioning those things. So if you are interested, we can make sure that we can get you set up so that you can ask those questions, be able to talk with someone if you need to, and then be able to begin the process virtually. So that's a really great step forward, and we're excited for that. So I just have a ton of like highs and great jobs. That's what's been coming through a lot. I think the teen thing kind of throws people off a little bit. So, you know, I actually have one question. What's a normal day like for you?
Now, you mean?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think we could take a hybrid of now and prior to COVID-19.
Okay, well, prior to COVID-19, a normal day is I wake up in the morning real early. I wake up my oldest because alarms just don't do anything for her. Wake her up, tell her, you know, get ready for school. She's able to walk to the bus stop, you know, by herself, which is, you know, just down the road. So she goes off to school. I get the other one to school. I go to work. My oldest goes to Boys and Girls Club because, you know, for the older kids, once you're over the age of, I want to say 12, they go for free.
12. It's 12.
It's 12, yeah. They go for free. You know, they're able to go there and help out with the other younger kids, the elementary age kids with their homework and things like that. And they're at a safe place until you get home, you know, from work. So, you know, she goes there. I pick up the kids from their schools. We come home. It's either I make dinner or they make dinner, or, you know, we buy something and we eat as a family. We usually watch a movie together. On, you know, the weekends, we try to do something to get out the house. And this is pre-COVID-19. On the weekends, you know, we'll try to do something to get out the house, whether it's just, you know, going to the mall, because kids like to just walk the mall, even if they're not buying anything for some reason. So, you know, we'll just go do something so they can come out the home really quickly. We walk together as a family in the evenings, and that's it. Awesome. Now they sleep till 2:00 p.m. and I don't wake them up because I don't mind them sleeping till 2:00 p.m. You know, so they, you know, now they sleep till 2:00 and then they'll wake up and, you know, they'll slowly come in and, you know, get their lunch, you know, and whatnot, and they're able to make that themselves because, you know, they're older kids and they're in the room right now. You can't hear them, but I can hear them. They're singing at the top of their lungs. So
it's normal parenting. I've got one laying in front of me right now too.
Yeah.
So I think it's a normal day in a household. I would love for mine to sleep till 2. So I think we could trade places one day.
Yeah. So just a normal family.
Yeah.
Jessica, one thing that I wanted to say real quick, and one of the reasons why I thought it would be good to feature you is because I know that you're neighbors to the Foremans.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think Mr. Jack thought was hilarious was that your love for teens, and how if you would have known this a long time ago, you would have been taking teens.
Yeah.
So I think that tickled me, because I'm like, okay, so no more littles. You do prefer teens at this point. So I told Caleb and Jessica and Shalonda, I thought that it would be really good for you to talk about the difference between the age group, because some people are like, absolutely not with
that was me
with teens. So you know, what would you say was one of the biggest things that scared you when even the thought of taking a teen? What made you apprehensive regarding that?
Just kind of not knowing what behaviors to kind of expect. Like, oh my goodness, are they gonna run away? And just the behaviors really, really, really scared me.
And since you've had them, do you think that their behaviors are, the kids that you've had in your home, that you've welcomed in your home, would you say that they're any different than any normal teenager, like your child, for instance? Are their behaviors, would you say, pretty similar? I know, other than the asking to take a bath or asking to have something to eat. Yeah.
No, with my kids, trust me, all 3 of them, they're the same. And that's my daughter, my bio daughter, and my 2 foster daughters. Oh my God, they're the same people. They're the same. Like, oh my goodness, they're the same. Yeah. So no, their behaviors aren't any different.
Right.
I think they all want love. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's really good that you're able to point out the different traumas, like, because things that we take for granted, such as taking a bath, such as eating, You never know if a person's been restricted from those things. So, and just giving them a chance and understanding trauma, I think is very important. And I'm glad that you were able to touch on that.
Yep, thank you.
We've got a question I think either Shalonda or Sharon can answer, and it's who do you contact if there's a crisis in the home?
Sharon, you want to take it since I took the other?
Yes, we do have a mobile crisis team that can come out and provide assistance. That information is provided to our foster parents. That information is also provided to our case managers. Generally, what will happen is we have on call that is 24/7 with each case management agency. So there's a number that you can call, and the crisis response team will come out and provide assistance to help diffuse the situation. As well as I know the case managers the worker generally will follow up with the case manager the next business day. But if there's something that needs immediate assistance, then what we'll do is send out the crisis team, the mobile crisis unit.
And I want to add too that, as a foster parent, we work very hard to make sure that you have connection with a mentor, that you build a relationship once you graduate from training and you become licensed. We have a mentor that you get connected to, and we have staff here at Kids Central. Sharon probably can tell you a little bit about our liaison positions for foster parenting, as well as even for our post-adoption families. We have support staff. So.
Yes, one of the biggest things I think we want everybody to understand is if there's a question or concern, we want you to contact us immediately and not wait until it does become a crisis. We can provide assistance. We understand, as you referenced, Ms. Robinson, the class will give you some useful techniques, but nothing tops you getting the child in your home. And, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, something happens. We have mentors that have lived it, have been through it, so they can provide assistance and are available 24/7. We have, our staff, as Shalonda referenced, we have our foster parent liaison, Ms. Joy Foreman. We have our post-adoption coordinator, Carla James. We have a whole team. If there are different behaviors, we've even reached out to our children's mental health specialists to ask for their expertise. So we have a full team that's available to provide assistance. We don't want anyone to try to tackle the issues alone. The biggest thing is the support. Graduating from the Pride course doesn't mean that you are completely done with Kids Central. That's when you start, the venture starts. And that's why we want to make sure everybody understands that, we are here to provide support. And if we don't know, we're not afraid to say, okay, I'm not sure, but I will definitely follow up. And that's one of the reasons why we look to our crisis, our mobile crisis unit to come and help diffuse the situation. And we try to pair new foster parents with mentors, because it might be something that they could say to, give a technique that a foster parent may be able to use to diffuse the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really truly a village here. We are there for you in every aspect, from the time you get licensed all the way through.
And we had a comment that said that your mentor and your licensing specialist will be your best friend. And then we had one of our amazing foster parents, Chris Johnson, commented that all teens are crazy, whether they're in foster care or not. Yeah. Fostering teens has been one of the biggest blessings in my life. So, I think they come from all walks. Every foster parent is a little different. And, some love babies, and that's their no sleep, feed all day is their jam. And then we have the teenagers who we get to do TikToks with and teach how to drive and teach how to be a parent, teach how to move into that adult world, which, I mean, as a parent, any stage of childhood so far has been pretty tough for me. So I'm sure that goes across the board. And, we're just grateful that we have amazing foster parents like you to take those kids and really lead them through those tough teenage years and on to adulthood. So I just appreciate, I know we all do appreciate everything you put forward for our teens, and just loving on our kids. That's really all they need, is just some love and some guidance every now and again. Yeah. And they're amazing kids too. So we just appreciate it. And, Shalonda, do you have anything else you want to talk about or add tonight?
Well, I just want to say, I said love, but I think the word that we use a lot is unconditional love, because sometimes they're going to test you. I think your own kids do that. I don't know if anybody saw me jump because my daughter was trying to make me flinch a little bit, but teenagers are that's how they are. But regardless, I think that unconditional love, there's nothing that's what they need more than anything. Somebody that's going to love them even when they're testing you. Somebody that's going to love them even if they're giving you a hard time. Sometimes they just want to know that you're going to be there for them regardless.
Absolutely.
Miss Sharon, you got any closing thoughts for us tonight?
One of the things that I want to say is with quarantine conversations, and I know Shalonda touched on it earlier, we are able to offer our orientation via Zoom, our pride courses via Zoom, in the comfort of your own home, which I think is the added bonus. We do miss the one-on-one interaction, but we are thankful that we're able to continue with business as the new normal and be able to offer the classes via virtually. So I think that is a added plus. So just to let anyone know that's interested, we will not delay starting classes just because we are dealing with COVID. We are trying to do our best to accommodate our training schedule as much as possible to make sure that everyone is trained, and we're moving full speed ahead with getting our foster parents licensed, or our prospective foster parents licensed, as quick as possible.
And then
I do have one more thing to add. I'm sorry. I just couldn't let this go. And I want to thank you because you touched on quite a few things that we treasure at Kids Central. You take teens and you took a sibling group. Keeping kids together and siblings together is so important. So we do appreciate you thinking not only about the teens, but also taking a large sibling group. That's definitely a big need of ours.
Yolanda, one more thing, and working with the biological parent regarding the reunification.
Yes.
That's amazing. So we give kudos for that. That shows, a lot of people, are very apprehensive when dealing with bio parents. I think you gave a good example of, upon reunification, she was able to come, and I don't know if you're still having contact, but, just being able to be available and work with the foster parent and the bio parent working together is it just speaks volumes with what we're trying to do.
And Miss LaShawn, you've got just a ton of love coming from on the comments. When you get off this, you'll be able to read through them and just see how much people are hearting and loving and shouting out to you. Just love you and miss you from Miss Carla James. So a lot of our Kids Central people join us on this sometimes too, and they help me answer comments so I can focus on both. I love that they jump in and help when needed. But we talked about the sibling groups and the teens and all of those things together, bio parents. But one of the main things we want quarantine conversations to do is to open up this conversation between current foster parents, potential foster parents, and open that conversation with Kids Central so that we can get you a part of our community of care. And that's really why we're here and doing this. We've really enjoyed doing it. We've planned to continue it through the new year, through the school year with a new name. I apparently want it to be January already, don't we all? But we love that we have you joining us. We've had about 45 people on board today. So you're sharing your story and it'll get shared a ton more after we end this. But thank you for taking the time to sit down with us tonight and really share your journey. And I love that you went into it with kids in mind and you ended up in the best place you could, and that's helping our teenagers and really leading them through the rest of their lives. So I really appreciate you joining us tonight, and I'm gonna let Caleb close us out and make sure he doesn't have any questions. He is on mute, so don't forget to take yourself off mute because I do it all the time.
I did it on purpose. No, Ms. LaShawn, thank you so much for joining us. I know that maybe getting in front of people and talking is not your favorite thing, but I really appreciate you being willing to share your story because it's incredible. And, you're a fantastic foster parent. Truly, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks everybody for joining us. We are going to say goodnight. You can still leave your comments below and we will make sure we answer those. You can also reach out anytime by phone. Our phone number is 352-873-6332. And you can always email us at openyourheart@kidscentralinc.org. Have a great night, guys. And thanks for joining us for Quarantine Conversations.